The banquet hall was exactly as I'd imagined it would be, extravagant, over the top, and dripping with Michael's need to show off his wealth. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead while waiters circulated with champagne flutes, all paid for with money that should have gone to our daughter's college fund. "Ma'am?" A young server stopped beside me. "I'm sorry, but this is a private event." "I know," I said, clutching the silver-wrapped gift box closer to my chest. "I'm Lily's mother. My name is Rebecca Turner, and for the past 8 years, I've been playing a role my ex-husband wrote for me, the heartless mother who abandoned her family. But tonight, at my daughter's sweet 16, everything was about to change." "Mom?" I turned to see Lily standing there in her princess ballgown, looking so grown up it made my heart ache. Her eyes, still like mine, were wide with confusion and something else. Anger? Fear? Both. "You're not supposed to be here," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "Dad said." "I'm sure he did." I held out the gift box. "Happy birthday, sweetheart." Before she could respond, Michael materialized beside her, his arm going protectively around her shoulders. He looked exactly as I remembered: expensive suit, perfect hair, and that smile that had once charmed me and now made my skin crawl. "Rebecca," he said, his voice dripping with fake concern. "This is a private party. I thought I made it clear you weren't welcome." I met his gaze steadily. "Our daughter turned 16 once, Michael. I wouldn't miss it." "Our daughter." He laughed, but I caught the flash of worry in his eyes. "You gave up that right when you walked out on us. Right, princess?" Lily nodded, though I noticed she was still staring at the gift box in my hands. She'd always been curious, even as a little girl. Some things never change. "At least let me give her my present," I said, holding out the box. "Then I'll go." Michael started to object, but Lily reached for the gift before he could stop her. Always his biggest fear, losing control of the narrative he's so carefully constructed. "Fine," he snapped. "Open it quickly so your mother can leave. We have guests waiting." Lily carefully unwrapped the silver paper, lifting the lid of the box. Inside was a single USB drive and a letter, both nestled in white tissue paper. She looked up, confused. "What is this?" "The truth," I said simply. "About why I really left 8 years ago. About where the money from the sale of our house went. About everything." Michael's face went pale. "Lily, give me that." But our daughter had already pulled out the letter, her eyes scanning the first few lines. I watched as her expression changed from confusion to shock. You see, Michael hadn't counted on one thing when he forced me out of our daughter's life: that I would spend every day of those 8 years gathering evidence, building a case, and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal everything. And what better moment than the party he'd thrown to show off his perfect life? The life he'd built using stolen money. Money that should have been Lily's inheritance from my parents. "Dad?" Lily's voice was small as she looked up from the letter. "What's she talking about? What trust fund?" Michael grabbed for the letter, but Lily pulled it away. "It's nothing, princess. Your mother's just trying to cause trouble, like always." "Really?" I pulled out my phone, pulling up a banking app. "Should we call the trustee right now? I'm sure he'd love to explain how you forged my signature to drain our daughter's college fund." The color drained from Michael's face. "You're lying. The same way I lied about the embezzlement charges, the ones you buried by threatening to take full custody if I went to the police." I kept my voice calm, even as years of suppressed anger threatened to boil over. "Or maybe we should talk about Rachel." "Who's Rachel?" Lily asked, still clutching my letter. "Your father's girlfriend. The one he was seeing while I was taking care of my dying mother. The same one who's now his business partner, living in the house my parents left me." Michael grabbed my arm, hard enough to leave bruises. "Outside. Now." I smiled, seeing the panic in his eyes. "No, I don't think so. I'm done letting you control the narrative, Michael. Done letting you poison our daughter against me with your lies." Around us, party guests were starting to notice the tension. Michael's perfect facade was cracking, and he knew it. "Whatever you think you know," he hissed, "you can't prove it." "Actually, I can." I nodded toward the USB drive still in the box. 8 years of bank statements, emails, phone records, even a few interesting conversations I recorded before you kicked me out. The police have copies, so does the IRS. Lily was reading through the letter faster now, her hands shaking. "Dad, is this true? Did you really?" "Don't listen to her," Michael snapped. Your mother's mentally unstable. That's why she left us, remember? She couldn't handle finding out you'd stolen my inheritance. I cut in. Or couldn't handle the restraining order you threatened me with if I tried to contact my own daughter. The music had stopped. Guests were openly staring now, phones discreetly recording. Michael's carefully orchestrated party was imploding, and with it the lies he built his life upon. Security, he called out, desperation creeping into his voice. Remove her. They can't, I said calmly. This venue is owned by my cousin Thomas. Remember him? The one you tried to blackmail last year? He's very interested in seeing how this plays out. Lily had finished the letter, tears streaming down her face. All this time, you didn't abandon us. Dad made you leave. I reached for her hand, and for the first time in 8 years, she didn't pull away. I never abandoned you, sweetheart. I've been fighting to get back to you since the day your father threatened to destroy my life if I didn't disappear. She's lying, Michael insisted, but his voice had lost its conviction. Lily, princess, you know me. You know I would never. Never what? I pulled out another envelope from my purse. Never forge my signature to steal her trust fund. Never use my parents' death to seize control of their assets. Never threaten to take full custody if I expose your affair with Rachel. I handed the envelope to Lily. These are copies of everything. Bank records, legal documents, photos, all proving what your father's been hiding. The originals are with my lawyer, who's probably meeting with the DA right now. Michael lunged for the envelope, but Lily stepped back, clutching it to her chest. The look she gave him, one of betrayal and dawning comprehension, was exactly what he'd always feared. Princess, he started, reaching for her, but she backed away further. Don't call me that, she whispered. Not right now. I need to think. I watched as my daughter, still in her perfect party dress, turned and ran from the ballroom. Michael moved to follow her, but 2 security guards, my cousin's employees, stepped in his path. This isn't over, he snarled at me. I smiled, feeling 8 years of fear and anger finally begin to lift. You're right, it's just beginning. The days following Lily's Sweet 16 party unfolded exactly as I'd planned. While Michael scrambled to contain the damage, desperately calling in favors and threatening lawsuits, I watched as 8 years of careful preparation finally paid off. The first domino fell Monday morning when the DA's office announced their investigation into Michael's financial dealings. By afternoon, the IRS had frozen his accounts. But it was the call from Rachel, his girlfriend turned business partner, that really started his downfall. You ruined everything. His voice echoed through my cousin Thomas's office, where I sat reviewing documents with my lawyer. Michael had been calling nonstop since the party. Rachel's gone. She took everything from the safe and disappeared. I smiled, thinking about the anonymous tip Rachel had received about Michael's other girlfriend, the one he'd been seeing behind her back. How unfortunate. I suppose she found the offshore account records you've been hiding from her? His sharp intake of breath told me everything. How did you know about those? The same way I know about the shell companies, the forged documents, and the real reason Judge Harrison suddenly ruled in your favor during our custody battle. I paused, letting that sink in. Amazing what people will tell you when they discover they've been deceived. The truth was, Rachel hadn't just disappeared. She'd gone straight to the FBI with everything she found in Michael's safe. Turns out, she didn't appreciate discovering that her soulmate had been playing her just like he played me. Lily was staying with my sister Jane, trying to process everything she'd learned. The letter I'd given her contained not just evidence of Michael's crimes, but years of birthday cards, letters, and photos he'd intercepted, proof that I'd never stopped trying to reach her. She won't even talk to me, Michael said, his voice cracking. My own daughter. Our daughter, I corrected him. And can you blame her? You stole her trust fund, lied about her mother abandoning her, and used her grandfather's death to seize control of assets that should have been hers. I did everything for her, he shouted, to give her the life she deserved. No, Michael, you did it for yourself, just like always. I hung up, turning to my lawyer, Marcus. How long until the arrest warrant comes through? He checked his phone. DA's office says tomorrow morning. They want to coordinate with the FBI since some of the charges cross state lines. I nodded, thinking about the meticulous trail of evidence I'd gathered over the years. Every fraudulent transaction, every forged signature, every threatening message, all carefully documented and preserved. The next morning, I drove to Jane's house. Lily was in the garden, looking smaller somehow without her party dress and perfect makeup. "Mom?" She looked up as I approached. "Is it true about Dad? About the arrest?" I sat beside her on the garden bench. "Yes. The police are picking him up this morning." She was quiet for a long moment, plucking at a loose thread on her sleeve. "All those years, I thought you didn't want me. Dad said you had mental problems, that you couldn't handle being a mother." "I know, sweetheart." I fought back tears. "And I'm so sorry I couldn't find a way to tell you the truth sooner. But your father's threats weren't empty. He had judges and lawyers in his pocket. If I tried to fight him then, he would have made sure you never saw me again," she finished. "Like he did anyway." "But I never stopped fighting to get back to you," I said, pulling out a worn notebook. "I kept a journal of everything. Your birthdays, school events, achievements I read about in the local paper. I wanted you to know that even though I couldn't be there, I was watching, waiting." Lily took the journal with trembling hands. "The USB drive. I watched some of the videos last night. The ones of Dad threatening you, of him with Rachel in our old house. I'm sorry you had to see that." "Don't be." Her voice hardened. "I needed to see who he really is." Just then, my phone buzzed with a news alert. "Prominent businessman Michael Turner arrested on multiple fraud charges." Lily read the headline over my shoulder. "What happens now?" "Now," I took her hand. "Now we start over. Together." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and media coverage. Michael's arrest made headlines, especially when Rachel testified about his financial schemes. The evidence was overwhelming. Decades of fraud, manipulation, and corruption laid bare for everyone to see. But the real story wasn't about Michael's crimes. It was about the relationship I was finally able to rebuild with my daughter. "I found these," Lily said one evening, bringing over a box of old photos. "They were hidden in Dad's study, pictures of you and me when I was little. We spent hours going through them, me filling in the memories Michael had tried to erase. Her first steps, her favorite bedtime stories, the way she used to insist on wearing her Halloween costume to the grocery store. You used to sing to me," she said suddenly, "when I couldn't sleep. I remember now." The tears I'd been holding back for 8 years finally fell. Michael's trial was swift and decisive. The evidence I gathered, combined with Rachel's testimony and the paper trail of financial fraud, left no room for doubt. He was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. But the real justice came in the form of restitution. The court ordered all stolen assets returned, including the trust fund he drained and the house he'd taken through fraud. "It's strange," Lily said as we walked through our old home, now legally returned to us. "Everything looks the same, but feels completely different." I understood what she meant. The house held so many memories, both good and bad. But now we have the chance to make new ones, on our own terms. The media eventually lost interest in the story, moving on to newer scandals. But in our community, the whispers continued. The same people who had believed Michael's lies about me, who had shunned me as the unstable mother who abandoned her child, now had to face the truth. "Mrs. Peterson apologized today," Lily told me over dinner. "She said she should have known better than to believe Dad's stories about you." I thought about all the times Margaret Peterson had crossed the street to avoid me, how she warned other parents not to let their children play with Lily if I was around. "People believe what they want to believe," I said, "especially when the truth is uncomfortable." 6 months after Michael's arrest, Lily and I sat in the garden of our reclaimed home, planning her delayed college applications. The trust fund he'd stolen had been restored, with interest, ensuring her education was secure. "Mom," she looked up from her essay draft. "How did you do it? Keep fighting all those years without giving up." I thought about the long nights documenting evidence, the quiet tears as I missed another birthday, another Christmas, another milestone in my daughter's life. "Because I knew someday you'd learn the truth," I said simply. "And I wanted to make sure that when that day came, you'd understand that not fighting for you was never an option." She hugged me then, something that was becoming wonderfully common. "I'm sorry I believed him for so long." "Don't be. You were a child, and he was your father. He took advantage of that trust. The important thing is that we're here now." Later that evening, As I sat in my study going through old papers, I found the first piece of evidence I'd ever gathered against Michael. A bank statement showing the initial transfer from Lily's trust fund. I remembered the moment I discovered it, the sick feeling as I realized what he'd done. That single document had started everything. My careful documentation, my quiet investigation, my patient wait for the perfect moment to expose his lies. Michael had thought he'd won, that he'd successfully written me out of our daughter's life. Instead, he'd underestimated the one thing stronger than his greed and manipulation, a mother's love for her child. Now, as I listened to Lily playing piano in the living room, something she'd recently started again after years of Michael discouraging it, I felt a deep sense of peace. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. We had years of healing to do, trust to rebuild, memories to reclaim. But we would do it together, free from Michael's lies and manipulation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about reclaiming your own. The journal I kept during those 8 years sat on my desk, its pages filled with letters to Lily that I'd never been able to send. But now finally, I could close it. We didn't need letters anymore. We had something better. We had each other. And that, more than any revenge or justice, was what I'd been fighting for